Welcome to Tracy Erin Talks, where functional medicine meets personal development. You want to be living your best life, but the overwhelming amount of health information out there is confusing, and the way you think about yourself is keeping you stuck. You know you are meant for more. As a women's health specialist, my aim is to simplify and equip you with the tools you need to be beautifully balanced from the inside out. Welcome back to Tracy Erin Talks, your go-to podcast for all things hormone health and empowerment. Today, we're diving into a topic that can feel a bit controversial in the wellness space, and that is carbs. Yeah, carbs. We're going to bust some myths today and talk about why carbohydrates are actually crucial for women's hormonal health and how to eat them strategically for maximum energy and balance. I also want to give you a list of 15 carbs that I recommend adding into your diet. But before we get started, trust me, carbs are not the enemy. And after this episode, you'll see why they deserve a special place on your plate, especially certain times of the day, like first thing in the morning and daytime for lunch, when cortisol is at its peak, and I'll explain that here in a bit. So go grab your healthy favorite snack and let's get into it. So number one, why do carbs matter for women's hormones? Well, we know that they make us feel amazing or completely out of whack, depending on how balanced they are. Have you ever noticed that? You can feel amazing after a piece of sourdough toast with grass-fed butter on it, or you can feel like crap after a donut. They're both carbs. What is the difference, right? Hormonal imbalance can lead to those mood swings, fatigue, brain fog, craving, and just that overall feeling of meh. So this is where carbs can come in. Carbs are one of the three macronutrients. So last week we talked about the importance of protein in women's hormonal health. Today we're talking about carbs. Next week, I want to address fats. That will cover all of our macronutrients. So carbs is one of those macronutrients that our body needs to function, especially when it comes to hormone production. So when you're eating carbs, they break down into glucose, which gives your body energy and helps support the thyroid, adrenal glands, and even your mood regulating hormones like serotonin. Pretty cool, right? It's like giving your brain a big warm hug when it needs it most. And that is why we call carbohydrate rich meals comfort food. It's just like getting that big warm hug, right? If you eat the right one anyway. But for women, carbs are especially important because they help regulate our cortisol. This is a key stress hormone. And if you've been living in 2024, if you're listening to this, you know that stress is everywhere. And for many women, cortisol levels can be sky high. So this is where carbs can come in to save the day. So let's talk about cortisol and carbs and the timing factor. Because when you eat carbs is just as important as what kind of carbs you're eating. Cortisol, your body's natural stress hormone, is highest in the morning. That's actually a good thing if you think about it, because cortisol helps you wake up, get you moving, handle the demands of your day. It rises as the sun is rising. As melatonin begins to decrease overnight, cortisol begins to rise as the sun is rising, and thus this begins your circadian rhythm for the day. But here's the thing. When those cortisol levels are high, your body's in that kind of fight or flight mode, which means it needs quick fuel. What's the quickest fuel source for your body? Well, carbs, healthy, whole food carbs, things like sweet potatoes, oats, quinoa, fruits, or even some sprouted grains. Eating carbs earlier in the day helps to balance that cortisol spike that gets your day going, giving your body the fuel it needs to handle stress while keeping blood sugar levels steady. And that is the entire point of balanced hormone solution, is learning how to balance blood sugar and this stress hormone so that our bodies can begin to prioritize making the sex hormones like estrogen and progesterone that we need to feel better. So in other words, carbs can keep you cool, calm, collected, like a hormone balancing superhero. I love that, right? So they can keep you feeling amazing if we eat them in the right amounts and the right time of day and the right type. So if you wait until later in the day to eat carbs, like at dinner or a late night snack, when a lot of people like to indulge in their comfort food or their quote unquote sweet tooth, you might notice more cravings, irritability, or even trouble sleeping. And that's because your cortisol levels are supposed to be lower in the evening. But by eating carbs and spiking your blood sugar too late, you're signaling your body to stay in that go mode, that fight or flight mode, when it should be winding down. Does that make sense? As cortisol needs to be lowering at the end of the day, melatonin can increase and we can drift off into a peaceful night's sleep. All right, so how do we eat carbs strategically for hormonal balance? Well, I hope you're excited about eating carbs again. I'm definitely not one of those health practitioners who believes in just one perfect diet for every single person. I think that we should all ought to strive for balance. We all ought to strive for metabolic flexibility. Now, because of the years of damage that we have done to ourselves in the yo yo dieting and following fads here and there, we often don't have that metabolic flexibility that we need. So, in the short term, a ketogenic diet might be what is necessary for us. A carnivore diet might be extremely healing for us. On the contrast, if we're healing from a deeper illness, maybe juicing is what our body needs or water fasting, anything. We can use all these tools in our tool belt to achieve optimal health for each one of us. And I firmly believe that going in and out of specific diets really can help our overall metabolism. However, today, I just really want to zero in on the idea that carbs are not the enemy. And I hope you're excited about eating them again so that we're not limiting ourselves unless we're in a healing phase and we're doing some form of ketogenic diet for a specific reason, right? But don't just go low carb because somebody told you that that would be the right way to lose weight. So let's talk strategy. It's not just about eating carbs, any carbs at any time. It's about eating the right carbs at the right time for your body. So when is that? Well, first let's talk about what type of carbs. We are going to focus primarily on complex carbohydrates. These are your slow burning, fiber rich carbs, things like sweet potatoes, quinoa, oats, whole fruits. These help keep your blood sugar steady, avoiding those annoying crashes and cravings, which make you feel like a hormonal roller coaster, and nobody wants that. So, what I suggest is that you aim to include a serving of complex carbs in your lunch at a bare minimum. Carbs ought to be eaten in the middle of the day when cortisol levels are at their highest. However, if you're going to include them a second time of your day, I recommend breakfast. This will help support your cortisol levels throughout the rest of the day when you need energy most. For example, a breakfast like a bowl of steel cut oats with berries or a sweet potato with some eggs for lunch is a perfect way to balance your hormones while keeping you energized and full. Now, special note, you notice that I didn't say start the day with blueberry muffins, donuts, and croissants, which, truth be told, one of my favorite ways to start the day is at a favorite bakery. But we can't eat like that every day. What somebody once told me, you can't eat like it's your birthday every single day and expect to either maintain your weight or have optimal health. And that is the truth. So on my birthday, I just might be eating a blueberry muffin or a croissant, but every day for optimal health, absolutely not. So we're talking about that type of meal that involves a complex carbohydrate, not a simple sugar ridden carbohydrate, not milk and cereal, for example. We're looking for balanced blood sugar. And when we pair that complex carbohydrate with a protein and especially a fat, our blood sugar stays steadier longer. And it's a perfect way to balance those hormones and keep our energy up. However, in the evening, when cortisol should be naturally dropping, you can go lighter on the carbs. Think like this, more vegetables, right? Vegetables are also carbohydrates. We call those fibrous carbs. They're higher in fiber than they are in glucose. So we need fiber for hormones. We need fiber for our microbiome. We need it for a diversity inside of our gut. We need phytonutrients. We need all of the benefits that we can get from vegetables, from these fibrous carbs. 100%. There's no wrong time of day to eat fibrous carbs. That would be vegetables. But in the evening, when cortisol should be naturally dropping, you want to think about going lighter on the carbs. Think like more veggies, more protein to support recovery and relaxation. And this is what's going to help your body shift into a more relaxed state for restful sleep and optimal hormone balance. And by balance, what I mean specifically is that cortisol can come down and that melatonin can rise. So I know what you might be thinking. But Tracy, I've always been told to avoid carbs if I want to lose weight or balance my hormones. And I mean, I hear you. The low carb craze is real. And while cutting carbs might work for some people, it's not the solution for everyone, especially for women struggling with hormonal balance. And it's certainly not the strategy for a long term solution. Because when you cut out carbs completely, you're not giving your body the energy it needs to produce and regulate key hormones like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, etc. This situation right here can lead to more stress on your adrenal glands. Your body perceives this as a stress. And so what it does is it lowers your energy levels. And yes, you can even gain weight longer term. So your body needs a healthy balance of carbs, fats, and proteins to thrive, especially if you're over 35 and dealing with natural hormone fluctuations. So here's your permission slip to eat your carbs and to feel good about it. Just remember to prioritize complex whole food sources. Eat them earlier in the day when your body is primed to use them most efficiently. So let's talk about those 15 best carb sources that I love to include in my diet and my clients' lives. These sources are nutrient dense, they're hormone friendly, and they provide that steady energy that your body needs. Number one, favorite, top of the line, favorite, sweet potatoes. These are rich in fiber, vitamin A, antioxidants. They're great for studying blood sugar, keeping cortisol in check. Really hard to beat sweet potatoes. You can have them morning, lunchtime. If you have to, if you're dealing with energy crashes at night, they're a great thing to add in a quarter cup, maximum half a cup with your meat and veggies at night. Number two, quinoa, a complete protein and gluten-free grain here, packed with fiber, iron, and magnesium. Quinoa is perfect for hormone balance because it helps stabilize the blood sugar and reduces cravings, and it helps you feel full. Number three would be oats. I'd recommend that you get gluten-free oats where possible. These are high in soluble fiber. They're great for supporting digestion and gut health. Now, don't overdo the oats here because they are high in carbs, but you can have half a cup, 1 cup full of blueberries, frozen cherries, fresh sliced strawberries, a dollop of protein powder and Greek yogurt. Absolutely one of my favorite breakfasts. Here's the thing is oats release energy slowly. So this is key to keeping your blood sugar levels stable and helping with cortisol management. Number four, berries. Things like blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. These are low glycemic fruits and they're loaded with antioxidants and fiber. So berries, they offer that sweet but stable energy boost without spiking insulin. Perfect for hormonal balance. Stay away from the melons, which can be higher in carbohydrates, higher on the glycemic index, but berries are really nice. You can overdo those too, so be careful on that. But adding those into a quarter cup or so for every meal would be fantastic. Number five, brown rice or wild rice. Now, whole grains like this are rich in fiber, the mineral manganese, and B vitamins, which we need for energy. So they're slow digesting, which helps the blood sugar control, and it supports adrenal function, especially because of the B vitamins. Number six would be chickpeas. Some people refer to these as garbanzo beans. They're also high in fiber, protein, and complex carbs. So chickpeas are great for hormone balance because they stabilize the blood sugar too. Number seven would be lentils. Lentil stew is great during the winter time, super easy to make. You can freeze it ahead of time in small sections and have half a cup to a cup with a couple eggs. It's a really powerful carb plus protein, add half of an avocado to that. You have a very hormone friendly meal on your hands. This is packed with plant based protein, fiber, and iron. So, lentils, they move through your gut nicely, improving digestion. They keep you full longer. They tend to expand in the gut and they help maintain the stable blood sugars when they do that. Number 8 would be butternut squash. So similar to sweet potatoes, this is roasts the same way, it sautés in a pan the same way. It's a little bit more work in the peeling process. I feel like my hands get sticky and icky when I'm working with butternut squash, but it's often worth it. You can make a soup or a stew from butternut squash or put chunks of it inside of a soup. It's delicious. This is a low glycemic, fiber rich veggie that's easy on digestion and it's packed with vitamin A and C. This also supports that slow release of energy to support the adrenal and the thyroid. So, number 9 would be apples. Apples are fantastic, right? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. This is a low glycemic fruit high in fiber and antioxidants. Apples are great for snacking. Super easy to slap on a little teaspoon. Don't overdo it with the almond butter or the peanut butter here because that's easy to do in the fat category. However, if you can put on a thin layer of some almond butter or peanut butter, cashew butter, multi nut butter, anything with apples, one of my favorite snack. You can also slice a little bit of cheddar cheese with apples. I don't know if you've ever tried that. It's delicious. So apples provide sustained energy, which helps with hormone balance because it keeps our blood sugar in check over time. Number 10 would be something like sprouted whole grain bread or especially sourdough, something that's been fermented, particularly over a couple days. 3 days would be best. So it makes it easier to digest than regular whole grain bread. And when it's been fermented like that, we get more nutrients inside of the grain. So it provides that energy that stays stable and steady, and it overall supports our hormone health. Number 11 would be carrots. Carrots contain fiber and beta carotene, which support liver detoxification. This is very important. If you've ever been told you are estrogen dominant, you need help with your liver to uh, just to detoxify excess estrogen through the right hormonal pathway. Raw carrots are very, very good at this. Number 12 would be bananas. Easy snack, right? Half a banana with a teaspoon of almond butter on it. I'm not quite sure it gets better than that when you need a little bit of energy boost. High in potassium, and it's a resistant starch. What helps it improves digestion. It keeps you full longer. So this gives you that natural energy boost. And it has a lot of vitamin B6 in it, which you need for progesterone production. Number 13 would be beets. Beets are a root veggie. They're a little bit higher on the glycemic scale, but they are packed full of antioxidants, fiber, and folate. Think about how dark red a beet is. So beautiful. If you think about eating the rainbow, you want colors from every single spectrum, and beets fit in so nicely. They're easy to cook ahead of time. They're easy to eat in salads. They're easy to eat steamed. They're easy. Our family loves them roasted with potatoes, a little bit of salt and pepper, olive oil, and rosemary. We love roasted beets over here. Number 14 would be millet. Now, millet's a little bit harder to find over here. When I lived in West Africa, we ate millet every single day. It is a gluten-free grain and it's easy to digest, which is why it's really popular in the rest of the world. It's rich in magnesium, phosphorus, and all the B vitamins. So it helps with balancing our cortisol levels because it has that steady approach. And lastly, number 15 would be pumpkin. Pumpkin, we're coming into fall season right now. Pumpkin is easier to find this time of year than other times of the year. It's low calorie. It is a high fiber source of healthy carbs. And it's also rich in that beta carotene, right? Because it has that beautiful dark orange hue to it. So these are great for hormone production and regulation. It's also great for skin health and overall energy. So here's a pro tip. If you are ever going to eat these whole grain or whole food carbohydrates, I highly recommend that you pair them with a protein or a healthy fat. What's a healthy fat? Something like avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, or nuts. to keep your blood sugar steady and avoid those energy crashes. So you never just want to have your whole grain carbs naked, as we call it. You don't want to have them on their own. You want to always pair them with a protein and a healthy fat. So this is why a balanced plate is really important. All right, ladies, so that's a wrap for today's episode. Carbs are not the villain that they've made out to be, especially when it comes to supporting your hormones. In fact, they are a vital piece of the hormone balancing puzzle. So go ahead and embrace them, especially in the morning and afternoon, lunchtime preferred, and watch how your energy, mood, and hormone balance improve. If you loved today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend who needs to hear this, and leave me a review. It really means the world to me. And as always, if you want more tips and tricks on balancing your hormones and thriving as a woman over age 35, please check out my program. We're open for enrollment right now for one more week, the Balanced Hormone Solution. This is a 90-day program where you will learn how to fuel your body, reduce your stress, and finally feel like yourself again. All right, until next time, stay vibrant and keep those hormones happy. Thank you for joining me today on Tracy Erin Talks. I hope you found today's episode enriching to your life. If you enjoyed today's content, would you consider subscribing to the podcast and leaving a review? That simple act helps this podcast get into the hands and ears of many more women just like you. Remember, anything you want and do not yet have will require a new set of beliefs, thoughts, actions, and a new you. I am honored to be on this journey with you as we wholeheartedly pursue true health and wellness in mind, body, and soul.